So there were plenty of positives in this game, particularly some of the patterns, which I will cover in a video during the international break. But Silva's tactical hijack eventually got the better of Amorim's United. But before that, I want to give a shout out to De Ligt's performance, which contributed to reducing the impact of Silva's tactical changes. Unlike his fellow back three colleagues, he was aggressive, stepping up the pitch with Muniz when he was dropping into pockets. In this example, we can see how far beyond the rest of the backline De Ligt has stepped up with Muniz. Puts him under loads of pressure and we win the ball back. This was a long ball into Muniz, onto his chest, but very aggressive defending by De Ligt and we win the ball back again. This one I really liked. King miscontrols the ball. Despite De Ligt being behind Muniz, he reacts quicker, nicks the ball, and a nice layoff. This example shows great awareness. De Ligt is picking up Muniz, but Fulham take a quick throw in into the space behind Shaw. He reads the play and gets across to stop the cross. This is also great positional and anticipation play. Poor defending from Shaw. He gets too tight and gets rolled, but De Ligt reads it and gets there before Muniz. These next two examples demonstrate his commitment. When the header is won on the back post, we can see De Ligt is behind Lukic, but gets across to block the shot, and then follows the ball out to block the next shot. And this is great defensive play. He scans, knows Muniz is going to make a run in behind him, drops back to win a great header, helping Shaw not having to defend Muniz. I'm not analysing the goal, but anyone who subscribes to the weasel that is Gary Neville, that the goal was De Ligt's fault, look at the edge of the box. And with the ball, we saw another one of these pings to Dorgu. It was a commanding performance that held United's defence together. Now moving on to Silva's tactics. He changed his formation to this 3-1-5-1. The issue for United was the midfield overload between the lines. At times, United dealt with it well. Iwobi is in a nice pocket, but Ahmad is quick to close him down. And here we see the overload again, but United do well to shut it down. But as the game went on, this overload became harder to deal with for various reasons. King gets on the ball in his pocket, big gap between the sixes, and Fulham have broken the forward line. This is clever play. The ball is played into Lukic. Fernandes follows him out, but now we have this huge gap behind Fernandes. Anderson plays it back into King, who has snuck into the pocket off the top line. This was one of the issues for United. Fulham players making runs into midfield pockets from the top line, and Fulham play through our lines again. Going back to when King got onto the ball, we can see why this was causing United issues. Muniz is pinning De Ligt, meaning Yoro, or in this case Shaw, have to come right out of position. But that is what they must do in this system. The spare man in the back three have to go wherever they need to prevent the midfield overload. Here we have two Fulham midfield players dropping into the pocket behind United's front line. As the ball gets to Iwobi, Casemiro is overloaded with Fernandes in the back line. Then King finds another pocket from the top line and Fulham play through and around us again. In the first half, United, through scrambling, were able to negate Fulham's midfield overload, but the second half was different. United are looking to press, and we can already see Fernandes stuck between two, but with the press committed, he has to go with Berger, with Mount shadow marking the ball into Lukic. He doesn't. Now Casemiro commits, and Iwobi gets in another pocket, and Fulham are in another attacking position. In my opinion, this is garbage from Shaw. Shaw is marking Jimenez, who is on the blind side of De Ligt. Shaw just lets him go for De Ligt to deal with, and Fulham get in another pocket. But this was the worst example of the lot. The ref blows the whistle for a free kick. Fernandes is wiping his face and then turns his back on the play. They take a quick free kick. Fernandes and Mount are just standing and watching. Then King gets the ball in another pocket, where Yoro, as the spare man, should have stepped up onto him. And this is why I praise De Ligt, because he was always aggressive in these situations with Muniz. The devil's verdict is, regardless of the positive start United made, Fulham did a job on United tactically. They made United players make decisions, and most of the time, they were the wrong ones. However, Amorim should have done more tactically to help the players. Amorim and his staff must have seen the issues Fulham's tactics could cause in the second half. In my opinion, he went too soon, bringing Casemiro off. It destabilised United's midfield even further. The fact he then had to go back on himself and make a defensive change, bringing Ugarte on, confirmed that. Ultimately, we saw a glimpse of the old United. When teams put pressure on us, we crumble. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.